To celebrate Harvey Phillips,
Yeah.
who was our guru in every way, shape, and form. I mean, the things that we have achieved in our lives in many ways were spurred by Harvey Phillips. You know, he says, you should try this, you should try this, you should try that. And of course, we pass that on to our students. But he was a key figure, and I don't know, you know, there'll never be anyone of his stature, that singular stature.
He came at the right time too, though. You know what I mean? I mean, at the right time with the big ideas. I mean, and that's the way everything always happens. You know, you take an opportunity, you run with it. You know, you fail a little bit, you decide, hey, listen, how we play the tuba. So, you know, I know what not to do. You know, that's what happens after a while. Yeah, that didn't work, and you know,
young people don't know some of the things that guys like Bill Bell and Harvey Phillips and Jake did and stuff.
I didn't know that either.
We didn't know it. We didn't have records, and we didn't have excerpt books and all the other things that are available to young people today. But anyone knows that has heard the legacy thing of Harvey, that in the 50s he was playing technical things that it was another 40 years before the rest of the people were doing.
We've got to do a better job of educating our Tuba and Euphonium people. There are students out there now that say, Harvey who?
Exactly.
I mean, much less Bill Bell.
How about Rich Madison?
You know, or Rich Madison.
My own students.
There are kids now that and Harvey died a year ago, but there are kids out there, you know, younger kids, young college students. They don't know. So the legacy of these people has you know, somehow we've got to get that out a little bit.
Well,
do a better job of getting that out.
That's where ITEA can take it on, and you know, we always try to preserve the little bit of the history that we started, and it's going to be up to them to do it. And you know, honest to goodness, we're going to keep his memory alive. But you know, hey.
Well, in the broader sense, we keep it alive by our actions, by our teaching, by our example.
I'll have a younger student in there, and I'll toss out the name of somebody who's a major figure in the Tuba Euphonium world, and I get one of these, who is that? And I'm like, you don't know who that is? I mean, and it just blows my mind, you know. But I mean, I understand.
Well, Bill Bell, really, if it was for Harvey, no one knew who Bill Bell was. I wouldn't have, you know. And quite influential in his time, you know. That was his time.
I think we will move ahead, and we will become more mature, like say the violins are. You know, there'll be a period, maybe a long time from now, when they look at Harvey as Paganini, the real. They called him the Paganini of the tuba, or you know.
I call him the Johnny Appleseed, man.
Well, but there will be a lore that is built up, and maybe it'll be more obvious to people. You know.
And of course, Harvey had that same exact feeling about Bill Bell, and being a Bill Bell student.
Yes.
I mean, you know, and you know where he was coming from. There, you know, I guess there would have been a Harvey, and you couldn't. Someone like Harvey, you can't hold him back. But Harvey built on everything, the foundation that Bill Bell laid there, and he had that to build on. And so that you know, you wouldn't have had one without.
Yeah, and I feel blessed in the fact that I was also able to work with Arnold Jacobs. And one of the reasons I took the job at, you know, there was a job at Illinois, so I could study with Jake. Mm-hmm. And I think the combination of Harvey and Jake, it's the biggest influence of my life, you know. And we pass that on to everybody as we possibly can. I want to see that memory, but the teaching skills that we learned from them, we're passing on. Mm-hmm. Well, so he's going to be remembered because
the big change for me was when I went to the West Coast, and my influences became Tommy Johnson and Roger Bobo, and they were like super heavyweights on my shoulders, you know. I mean, not my shoulders. I mean, something I had to look up to, and that opened the world up for me, of course. But that was my own individual thing.
And previous to these people, there were no role models for tuba and euphonium players.
Yeah,
I mean, there were no role models because people didn't know who they were. So if TUBA, ITEA has not accomplished nothing else, it's identified these role models and given them an opportunity to become role models.
Where Slim Pauly and those guys, you wouldn't even hear their names if it wasn't for the organization.
Well,
and of
right.
course, they appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
And young Sergio was doing great. Had not invited him over to this. But that networking stuff, those guys are great at networking. That's what's got
that
to
first
happen.
generation of those guys studied with trombone players and trumpet players more than they studied with tuba players. They didn't have to. I didn't have a tuba teacher till I studied with Harvey. I went to undergraduate with a trumpet teacher.
I auditioned at Eastman on a sousaphone and got in. I think, now you believe that at Eastman in those days? I can't believe it because I studied with Nobby. Yeah, that's
It's come a long way
a long way.
in 45 years.